Well, this is a video I never thought I would be making, but here we are. I am going to talk to you today about the Criterion release of 1997's Gummo. I have a fairly long history with Gummo. I think it was probably like 2007 when I first saw it. And I was in college at the time. Even though I wasn't really a movie buff, I wasn't a movie person, I fell very much in love with Gummo and it became my favorite movie. And from that point, there was a period in college where I watched Gummo every day. It became like my comfort movie, so I was watching it every night before I went to sleep. I know the film backwards, forwards, whatever, like I've seen it maybe more times than any other film ever. And if you have been on this channel, you know that it's kind of like an outlier. It's not like most of the other films that I watch and talk about, yet Gummo still remains on my top 4 on Letterboxd, and it just remains in my heart as one of my favorite movies. And you can probably relate to this if you've seen a movie enough times or listened to a musical artist enough times. It gets to this point where it's just like inside of you. It's just part of you, regardless of how long it's been since you've watched it, if that makes sense. So that's how I feel about Gummo. It's inside of me. Anyway, so you saw this in one of my haul videos, but here it is. This is the Criterion Gummo. I feel very seen. I feel just very validated. It kind of feels like I told you guys this was good. You know what I'm saying? Not that it matters what anyone else thinks. But here's the back. The inside has a little bit more of that classic look. Now I love the colors here, but the inside has more of that familiar look, like this font and everything. And let me show you the other copy of the film that I had, and that was this one. So as you can see, it looks familiar in that way. So here is what I had before, which it's not bad. I just popped this back in last night and I think it does look good. But we're going to talk more about this Criterion release here in a moment. So I do really like that the inside looks wildly different from the outside. I kind of like that change there. And so this little booklet has a little, what do they call this? I forgot what they called. It has like a little, an appreciation, that's what they called it. And it has an appreciation right here. And then when you open it up, there is an essay. And it's just like, just two people talking about how much they love the movie, which is cool. So the essay is by Carlos Anguilar, and the appreciation is by Hype Williams. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how this looked, and then I'm just going to talk about Gummo as a whole, because I haven't done like a dedicated video on Gummo in quite a while. So as for the special features, we have an interview, a new interview, a 2024 interview where they went to Harmony Korine's location in Miami and interviewed him there. I thought the content of that interview was really good. However, it was a very short interview. I think it was only like 15 minutes. So I was like, okay, you went all the way down there for 15 minutes? I don't know. I don't know what goes into that process. And then there's a 2000 interview. I forgot who it's with. 2001 interview with John Pearson. And then there's a 1997 interview with Werner Herzog. And that 97 and 2001 interview is kind of like, you know, if you'll have watched Harmony Korine interviews, especially from those times, you know that they're very weird, but cool, you know. And then there's also a trailer that they inserted into these special features, and I don't know if it's old or new, but I really like this trailer. It shows so many of the best scenes from the film And it also shows I saw 3 shots that aren't in the movie. And it's kind of sad that I can just tell you that. And then they used a whole, like a medley of the songs that are featured in the film. So I really like that it's able to give you a real taste of what you're getting. So that trailer is awesome. But other than that, there's not really a lot of special features. That's it. 3 interviews and a trailer. But that's okay. It's whatever, you know, I'm not much of a special features person. I'm more about the film. So let's talk about how the film looks. Now, even though I don't watch this movie nearly as much as I used to, when I pop this in, this Blu-ray, I could immediately see a difference. Obviously, the picture is sharper. The colors are way brighter. I think there's more contrast, like the contrast is up, and the movement looks smoother. Now I know a lot of that is because I have a newer TV. Something that I think is really, really special about having this like new clarity is that you can see so many more details. So even if you've seen the film a gazillion times, you're gonna notice something new when you watch this, because the details are just like, it's like you just put on glasses. And if you've seen this movie, you know there's a lot to see here. There's a lot of junk, there's a lot of piles, and you can just see it all. You can make out everything. Now, I am no sound expert, and again, I do have a fairly new TV, so the sound is way better than what I am used to so far. But now, I'm no sound person, like I said, but I feel like the sound was much better in this restoration, because music is a really important part of this film, and it filled the room as I watched it. Like, it really had this strong presence in the movie, and I think that's very important. I think the songs were presented really well. So overall, I'm just really, I don't know, I'm really happy with this. I was also happy with this, of course, but I just love that I can be a part of this basically public acknowledgement that this film actually is very important. You know what I'm saying? So let me talk about the film. I haven't done a review video of Gummo, but I do want you to know that I have gone on a Gummo pilgrimage. I think it was 2019, and I made a whole vlog about it. So I tracked down as many of the filming locations as I possibly could, and we went to them. And it's one of my favorite videos that I've made, and it was one of my favorite trips because I only live about 4 hours from Nashville. So we just hopped up there and did that little pilgrimage. And yeah, if you're a fan of the movie, I would recommend you watching my video. It'll show you how a lot of the places have changed, but a lot of the places are still the same. But aside from that, I haven't done a review. So I want to talk a little bit about the movie for those of you who have seen it and for those of you who haven't seen it. I want to give Gummo its moment. For those of you who haven't seen Gummo, I'm going to try to explain it really quick. It is it's sort of a non-linear story depicting the unglamorous lives of impoverished people in a tornado-ravaged town, showing the deranged activities that they get up to. That's the best I could do. It's kind of pieced together. It's not linear. It's like a collage of ugly, ugly things. So, like I said, you guys could probably relate. You know when you like are a teenager or you're in college or something and you just like, I guess because your frontal lobe hasn't developed or something, but you can just watch all this vicious stuff and just be unfazed by it, you know? All this disturbing stuff and be like, yeah, that's my favorite movie. When I was in college, I was like, Cannibal Holocaust is my favorite movie. But it's different when you're an adult. At least it is for me. So, sitting down and revisiting Gummo just the other day, it's harder to watch. It's harder to watch now. It is kind of disturbing. There's some difficult moments. The animal cruelty, even though it's not real, it's hard, and there's a lot of hate speech. It was like, I need to close my windows. Like, and yeah, there's just a lot of little things in this movie. It's not overt. A lot of it is quite subtle. And that's the part of the mystery of this movie, is it disturbs you deeply, but not with like shock value, if that makes sense. So the other day, Zach asked me, we were just chatting, he's like, what movie do you think influenced your life the most? Or like influenced the way you see the world the most, or something like that. And then I was like, it's Gummo. And he was surprised by that. But like, so Gummo was filmed in the South, and it's meant to depict people in poverty, right? Rural people, even though it's not really a very rural area, at least not anymore. But anyway, I live in the rural South as well. And it's ugly. It's very ugly. Just like the places and the sights featured in Gummo. And this was like one of the first films that I saw that took this ugliness and like put it in a frame and presented it. And I don't know, it kind of helped me start to see my surroundings as art. When you really think about it, it's not just the South, it's not just rural areas, but America is ugly, okay? And a lot of what you see in Gummo is just really what America looks like. It's imperfect, it's ugly. And I guess I just like the honesty of that. It felt like representation. It's this like very artsy movie that's depicting these places that look like the town you live in. And I guess it helped me like to feel seen. It helped me realize like, oh, well, there's something special about where I live too. The realism. I just love the realism. This film, it's unglamorous. I love the way these houses look and how the inside of these houses look. Y'all all know, if it's not you yourself, y'all all know people whose inside of their houses look like that. Or you have been in a house that looks like that, because it's real. In some ways, because this film has scripted and unscripted moments, real actors and non-actors featured in the film, it has this sort of found footage feel to it a lot of times. Well, especially because we have like some handheld camera, and it's just it's this collage, you know? There's just this crazy authenticity to the film that it does feel like a little lens into real life. In addition to the homes, the interiors, and just the general appearance of the streets and the stores and the restaurants and all of that, I love the costumes. And I know Chloe Sevigny did the costumes, but I don't know who all has been costumed by her and who all is just wearing their real clothes. But it's got a real like thrift store vibe. Obviously, I think she did do the shopping at thrift stores and stuff, but it's just very delightfully trashy. Now, a way that this film is not like real life is its bizarreness and its absurdity. I refer to this film as absurdism in my head quite a bit. A lot of the film is nonsense, and it's really not even a very quotable film at all, because a lot of the stuff that people are saying just doesn't make sense or doesn't mean anything, you know?
It's a lesbian cat. You can tell.
So that's why you'll hear this one quote over and over all the time. Life is beautiful, really it is. Without it, you'd be dead. Because that's pretty much the only quote, that's the only line you can pull from this movie. There's just not a lot going on. Well, there's another one. You smell like a dookie, girl. Or nothing new for trash like you. There are a few. I did touch on the music. Now this is another thing that I really, really loved about the movie in a way that the movie changed my life. So when I watched Gummo, I was already a metal listener. Yet, you know, unless you're listening to like sludge or something. When you're out in the world, when you're out in Alabama listening to metal, it doesn't quite fit, right? Like my music doesn't match my surroundings. I'm sure we've all felt like that at some point. But Gummo really helped me to see metal overlaid on a rural landscape, and it helped me to see how that really does actually work, even if it's in this contrasty sort of way. Just to see like black metal laid on this like muddy, grungy, poor people huffing glue. I don't know, it just like blew my mind and has changed me forever. I love all of the music. We get like all different genres from all different generations. So the two main characters of this film are arguably Solomon and Tumblr, two young teenage boys. And they get up to a lot of things. I won't spoil it if you haven't seen it, but there are many dastardly deeds being committed. Sick things, honestly. And when Zach and I were watching it again the other night, I was like, do you think that Solomon and Tumblr are bad people? And he was like, yeah. And like for me, I think that it's a little grayer because in a lot of ways they're just a victim of their environment, and it seems like they don't really know what they're doing is wrong sometimes. And then you also see their like childlike innocence and vulnerability on their faces so many times. I don't know, it's just like it gets you asking these questions. Like, I don't know, I guess they're bad people. Another like facet of the realism in this film, I'm going to, bear with me, I'm going to draw a similarity between Gummo and Baby Oopsie, okay? A reason I love Gummo and a reason I love Baby Oopsie is because of the casting choices. The people that are cast in these films look like regular people plucked off the street. A lot of times they were just plucked off the street. And there's something that I just really love about that. Like the people aren't overly curated with like perfect teeth or like a perfectly tweaked face or anything. They're just like real people with all their imperfections, and I just love it. I love to see all these very like non-conventional looking people throughout the film. So obviously the movie is very depressing. There's some dark and sad things going on. It's also very lonely and isolating, and I think you can see that isolation being played up in these characters. And this naivete, they don't even know that they don't know stuff. You see these boys like thinking they're hot shit or whatever, but they don't even know anything. Like, and they may have not even ever left their town. You can tell they just haven't seen or done or experienced things. They have a complete lack of worldliness, a complete lack of awareness. They don't know what's normal or strange or what's good or what's bad, and you can see that they don't even seem to know that their situation is bad, and then they don't seem to understand what is right and what is wrong because they're so isolated. So the appreciation blurb in this little booklet thingy, he talks about how he used to carry this movie around with him everywhere and force as many people to watch it as possible. And I used to force people to watch it too. I would not do that anymore, but I used to. And I remember one guy, he was like my coworker. What was I doing? My coworker came back to work the next day and like yelled at me for suggesting that he watch that, and said it was like the worst thing he'd ever seen. Okay, I think I'll leave it at that. I don't know, maybe I should do more Gummo discussion in the future, because like I guess this has stirred up so many old feelings and opinions and thoughts. because back when I was freaking obsessed with this movie, I wasn't making videos or writing reviews or anything like that. So there is a lot that I just haven't expressed to the world. Anyway, anyone who wants to talk Gummo, I'm happy to. Let me know if you've seen it, if you want to see it, if you're getting the Criterion disc, or if you're not. I'm glad I finally got to use these ears again. And I guess that's all I've got. Ciao.